And it's beautiful because you're scared, but at the same time, that scaredness there's an excitement.
People have this misconception of what life is.
For a while, you start seeing that there is power in discipline, that's where it's at.
Life is about discipline.
That's where it's at. Love yourself at every stage, because every stage has a purpose.
Yes.
And then I tell them, I'm like, fitness is like seasons. You can't bloom all year. You're not gonna be in the best shape of your life all year.
Welcome to the Integrated Mind Podcast, where we help you connect your mind, your body, and your soul. I'm your host, BVA Scott, your integrative psychotherapist, and today we have an amazing guest with such an inspirational story. Her name is Aimee, and she's a health and wellness coach. And for her to come here is very important to me because of her story being so inspirational. Just even talking about it gives me the goosebumps. So I want you all to welcome Aimee.
Thank you for having me, Bill. Super excited to be here.
I'm super excited for you to be here. I know we have a long history. We've pretty much grew up together, I would say. And after high school, we lost contact, I would say. And then social media does help that connection. But it was more of very just, hi, I see her, whatever. But seeing your transformation and then seeing how beautiful and how inspirational it is, tying that into what I'm doing, it was like a no-brainer to have you here and talk about it. So to begin, let's talk about like, what is it that you do and how you got there? Talk about that just amazing story.
Well, basically what I do is I try to help women. I like to say get their mojo back, but I try to help women, or I empower women through fitness, through good nutrition, to live healthier, more fulfilling lives so that they can be better for their kids, for their husbands, be better employees, live a better quality of life.
So why is that such a passion for you? How did it all start for you?
I think, and I'm a big Les Brown listener. He has a thing called From the Inspiration of Desperation.
Oh.
I think I reached a point where I was desperate. I was 29 years old. I was weighing 233 pounds.
Wow.
I remember clearly the day that I was trying to zip up a pair of jeans that would not fit. They were a size 16. And I remember my sister-in-law being there, and I said, I am not going to buy a bigger pair of jeans. I'm not buying a bigger size. I'm like, this has to stop here. And I started researching, I started looking to find ways to work out, to move my body, to eat a little healthier. But I had kids. I didn't have time to go to the gym. I started searching and I found Beachbody, which is basically home fitness. It gave you a blueprint of how to eat, what to eat, when to eat. And then the fact that it was only 30-minute workouts, I could do them from home. I said, okay, I'm going to wake up before the rest of my house. I'm going to take out my clothes the night before. I'm not going to I got to a point where I was weighing the 233 pounds. I feel I was depressed. I was stressed out. I would come home saying I was super stressed. I would drink half a bottle of wine a night. I would wake up feeling groggy the next day, not wanting to do life. And it just got something that it started building up. And I felt it within me that I needed a change. I'm like, this is not the person I want to be. I was frustrated with my kids. Everything was about stress. I'm like,
your life was stress.
Yes.
That was your definition. Waking up in the morning, I don't want to even do it.
Exactly. And I was like, this is not the life I want to live, and I started realizing there was things that I had control of. I'm like, I can control my movement. Stress is always going to exist, there's things that I can do where I can manage it and it's not going to make it worse. And I started realizing that the behaviors that I had was only making it worse, because if you're stressed and you're drinking half a bottle of wine at night and you're trying to wake up in the morning, it's not going to work.
You're not going to sleep well. Then you're going to be more tired.
And alcohol is a depressant anyway, so you're going to feel bad anyway while you're thinking that what you're doing is removing stress away. So it was a lot of bad habits that were piling up. And I realized, and I said, okay, I have to grab a hold of this. And home fitness to me was the answer then. And I said, okay, let me see what happens. Let me try this out. Like I said, it was only 30-minute workouts. I started working out in front of my TV. I would move the coffee table. I had one set of dumbbells. And I did home fitness for about 6 months. I had lost like 20 pounds. And I said, okay, if I continue to do this and I continue applying these good habits, then I can continue to improve my health and continue my journey. And what I started realizing when I was doing all these good habits, I'm like, just like bad habits stick, good habits stick too. It's the same thing. It's just what you decide to do. And I did realize also that it was all a matter, it's a matter of little decisions. Everybody thinks it's like one big thing that you have to do.
No, it's all cumulative.
And it's just it's a one decision every day. I'm not going to have the glass of wine. I'm going to take out my clothes the night before. I'm not going to snooze. It's just little things. And every day you're going to be confronted with what are you going to do, either this or that. And deciding on the thing that's going to get you closer to your goal was obviously where the answer was at. So I did that for about 6 months. And then Beachbody started promoting a program called Hammer and Chisel, which for me, I saw it as this huge monster, and it was something that I felt that was going to be impossible, but I knew.
Why did you think it was going to be impossible?
Because physically, I wasn't going to be able to do it. I was still overweight. I was still 40 pounds overweight. The moves that they were promoting that you were seeing was push-ups with just a ball, like balancing yourself. There
very
was
intimidating.
Very intimidating. Things that physically, I'm like, am I even going to be able to do that? You know? But something in me, and we talked about something that tugs at your heart, I said, I have to do this. I said, I don't care. Back then, I just had these blinders on and I was like, I have to do this. Is something I have to do.
That's alignment. I'm getting goosebumps. That's alignment. And that's that feeling right there that tugs on you. It's not like a word or a person speaking to you. It's an emotion that you just feel and you see no other way but that way. That's your soul. That's your higher self. That's your authentic self. I'm just thinking about it, like I got a high.
and I think that because I was able to experience that through physically challenging myself, it's why I do this now, because I want people to to be able to have that feeling, to get there, to have that thing that's tugging at their heart, and them listening to it and realizing how beautiful it is when you do listen to your heart, when you do follow it.
Yes.
You know, when you say, okay, and everything I had, I was like, oh my God, I don't have the equipment for this. All I have is, I need
which is all the obstacles, right? Everywhere you look, it's like, no, but I can't, but no, but I can't, but I have this, I don't have this, I can't do this.
Excuses. And you overcomplicate things, and the overcomplicating was just going to get you to not do it regardless. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. I had to invest. I had to buy a bench. I had to buy weights. I started buying weights on, back then it was on eBay. I was like, I told my husband.
And they're expensive.
Very much. They used to be $1 a pound. Now they're even more money.
Wow.
Super expensive.
And then the shipping, because they're heavy.
No. And I
remember I bought a couple.
And I started collecting, and little by little, and I had somebody that gave some away to me. And to this day, I still have the same weights, and I don't want to get rid of them. And I told my husband, I will paint them because they've been with me. Like they would have carried me through this journey. And I went ahead and I invested. And I remember back then, you had to buy the DVDs, and they came into this little white box.
DVDs.
And I got this white box. I bought it. It was the first week of December. I still have the picture that sometimes comes up on Facebook, you know, as the reminder. And every time I see it, it just takes me back to that feeling of, and it's beautiful because you're scared. And I know how my clients feel, or my customers feel. You're scared, but at the same time, that scaredness there's an excitement because you're starting something new, and you're like, I'm going to feel different. Like,
but right there, that was a choice you made.
100%.
Because going back to looking at everything around you, there's always going to be ways and reasons why you shouldn't do something.
For sure.
So even you seeing it that way, like, it's scary, but also the excitement of starting something new, that was the choice that you made. You made the choice to focus on that excitement and something new.
Yes.
Versus on the fear.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's going back to the decision. It's really deciding what you want in life and what are the ways to get there, and only seeing that. You said something beautiful. You said, I had blinders on. That was my goal. My goal was to lose the weight. My goal was to feel better and not having to snooze every morning and not wanting to wake up.
Yeah.
So you made that decision. And I hope people really understand that it's you. It's the person that has the control of their life.
100%.
And it's all about small decisions like that, that at the end of the day, pile up to huge decisions that are positive. But go ahead.
Yeah. So then I went ahead and I invested. I bought the bench, I bought the weights. I got a specific room. I told my husband, the spare room is going to become a gym now. And it's funny because everybody looked at me like I was crazy. They're like, you're going ballistic. How are you even going to do that? I did the 8 weeks. I started the first week of January. And that was the first time that I actually took a picture, a before picture. I had been doing home fitness for a year, but I was always too scared to take the picture. It's a very eye-opening moment when you take those pictures. A lot of people don't like doing it. I never wanted to do it. I didn't want to share it with anybody. At that point, I didn't care about helping anybody else. I was just worried about myself. I'm like, I need to take a hold of this and worry about me. So I took that before picture. I did it for 8 weeks. And after the 8 weeks, I took my, after the 8 weeks, I took my after picture. And when I took that after picture, I remember the feeling I had when I was sitting with my sister-in-law and how empty I felt and how, I would say I don't know what the word is, like defeated. I felt defeated. I'm like, I'm 29 years old. I weigh 233 pounds. I won't tell my husband how much I weigh.
That's a big deal. Like
that is huge. And now you don't know how proud I am when I always tell him, you want to know how much I weigh? And now, you know what it is? Now I don't even care how much I weigh.
Of course, because I've
owned, yes, because I've owned it. And to me, the scale is like, whatever, I'm building muscle. I don't care. Like, it's so funny how things that would bother you so much now, when you now mentally, I don't care about it. Like, so I wouldn't tell my husband how much I weighed. And then when I saw that after picture, for me, I was like, oh my God, how can I bottle this feeling up and share it with another woman? Like, I know there's a lot more women out there that felt like I felt a year ago.
Well, also add to, the pregnancy with your son and the struggle that you had there. Like,
yes. Well, yeah, that was another thing, which I ended up, when I got pregnant with my daughter, I gained 80 pounds. And then out of those 80 pounds, I had only lost 40. And I carried those 40 pounds for 6.5 years. And then I was trying to have a baby with my husband. And we tried for 6 months and we couldn't get pregnant. And I told my husband, I'm like, I'm going to go to the doctor. We're going to fix this. I want to have another baby. How do we do this? So I went to the doctor and the doctor's like, look, before we do anything, how about you try to lose some weight first? You're weighing 233 pounds.
I praise your doctor, by the way, because
me too.
One would have been like, let's go to IVF or whatever.
Yes, me too. And he said, lose 20 pounds, try to lose some weight and come back. And I remember losing 20 pounds, and about 6 months later, I got pregnant.
Oh, you see?
And we had my son, which was great. But all through having my son, I had already I signed up to the gym. I had already started to build the habit of moving my body, of at least saying, okay, let's get some physical activity in. And then I had my son. All throughout my son, I continued to walk, run, but I needed that actual lifting the weights. I got to a point where I plateaued. So I wanted to figure out, what do I eat? How much do I eat? What exactly? So once I implemented Beachbody, it gave me more of a blueprint instead of me having no idea of what I was actually doing, just going to the gym, doing any machine.
Which I think is a big issue. And especially,
huge.
Yes. Not knowing like what to do, what exercises to do, how to do it, how long to do it. But the nutrition aspect is so big. And in our culture, like Latinas, and you mentioned something, before we started the podcast, we were having a conversation. Café con leche en tostada.
That was your breakfast.
That was my breakfast, I think, until I think I started at 4 or 5. And I think I stopped eating café con leche en tostada.
Or si no, galletica con mantequilla.
Yes, which is no protein, no all
butter,
carbs.
white carbs, processed carbs.
It is so bad.
White sugar, whole milk.
Like, can you have the worst recipe? For then why you probably get this peak of like energy, and then you go, ew. And then what happens? You feel like crap. You feel like crap, and then you don't want to do anything else. And then everything else becomes a bigger issue. The kids are frustrating. You're tired. Then you want to have another glass of wine.
Exactly.
Then you eat pasta, big bowl for dinner. Like the whole system
goes out
of whack.
And then what I realized is, just like you're saying, I was out of whack. I said, look how easily, by changing little small behaviors, I was able to turn it around, and I was no longer that person. I stopped drinking because if I wanted to get a 50-minute workout at 4:30 in the morning, there was no way I was going to be able to have wine. So that problem left.
4:30 in the morning?
That's when my alarm goes off.
Oh my God.
I have to work out by 5. But that's another thing. Well, I always say, people tell me, you work out so early. Doesn't working out make you feel good? Yes. Don't I want to feel good first thing in the morning?
Yes.
You know, I'm a morning person. By 9 o'clock, I'm dead tired. I'm yawning.
Oh no, I'm the
done.
same way.
But I'm a morning
Not
person.
that early, but I'm early.
And I realized I'm stacking habits that are turning everything else around. And then to when we were talking about the mental part of it, I realized that moving my body started opening different doors for me. Not only was I having all this energy now in the morning, I read a book called The Miracle Morning. I don't know if you've ever read it.
I've never heard of it or read it.
It's a book it teaches you how to have a morning routine. Basically, it was a gentleman that he was very successful. He got into a car accident, and after getting into a car accident, he ends up in a wheelchair, and he had to find a way. His fiance leaves him. He had to find a way to lift himself up. And he built a structure for a morning routine. It's different habits that you do every morning. You move your body, you meditate, you read, you journal, you visualize. And then, and you visualize. It's 5 behaviors. And I read that book. And when I read that book, what I would do is I would read 2 pages every morning and then work out. I read that book and it talked about meditating. And then I said, okay, well, you know what? If I can wake up 5 minutes earlier, I'll start by meditating 3 minutes. Because
That's all you need.
I am the one, my mind would never quiet down. I'm like, this is going to be so stupid. So I started meditating. And I remember my husband looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, don't worry. I'm going to figure this out. I did it. No lie. I went from 3 to 5. I did it for like 6 months. And I'm like, this shit is not working. I'm like, well, what am I doing? I'm sitting inside and my thoughts would go everywhere. But then one day, my boss told me something. And the way that I was able to articulate to him how I was feeling and express myself to him, I was like, hold on a second. I'm like, I get it now. I'm like, meditation is like this cleaning of your brain that dusts the lady comes, she'll dust off your brain, and you can all of a sudden things become clear.
Yes.
And you can speak better, and you can express yourself more, and you can visualize what you want. And when that happened to me, I'm like, this is a meditation.
That's the thing. People think that meditation is like, you're not going to have thoughts. And you're going to get out of your meditation and you're going to be like on cloud 9.
Yeah.
That's not reality.
It's not.
It's not reality. And
it's not.
That's a huge, people have this misconception of what life is. Life is not going to ever be rainbows and butterflies all the time.
No.
It's going to be peaks and valleys. It's going to be up, down, up. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have so days. What the meditation does is
equips you to deal with them.
Yes.
It equips you to deal with what you have to deal with. And today, 9 years later, I sit and I go, today I'm having a hard day. And then now I've been able to, thankfully, because I've been doing it for so long, I can gauge myself. And from all the 5 behaviors that I do every morning, because I do those 5 behaviors every morning still, I know what I need more of. I'm having a hard day today and it's going to be more of a mental day. So I'll meditate for 15 minutes and I'll only work out for 35.
Yes.
And
I was actually going to ask you about that.
So then I already know it's a gauger. I'm like, okay, so what do I need more of today? And you start, since you're so in tune with yourself, you know what you need. And sometimes it's like, you know what? I'm only going to move my body for 15 minutes, but I'm going to read for 10 and I'm going to meditate for 20.
Well, that's happened to me this week. I've only been able to work out Monday. I had an amazing workout, but then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I haven't been able to. So what do? I go for a walk.
Walks are the best thing you can do.
I do a mile sometimes. Today, I couldn't even do that because I didn't have the time. I think it was 15, 20 minutes, but at least
movement. And then I told everyone, I mean, for me, it's been home fitness. And what I love and the reason I chose body as my tool is because the way the programs are set up, you have a calendar, you have a blueprint. It tells you exactly what workout to do, what moves, depending on what it is that you want. So it's structured for, now I'm not saying efficiency. It's something that's efficient. You do it from home, you do it anywhere. And then realizing that all these things stack up and it's something that you can teach someone else to do and feel this way, I'm like, I'm going to start, and I guess now we use the word influencer, influencing people into having good habits, into creating morning routines.
And you know what? When you said that, talking about connecting with your body. When you said that, the word influencer, that kind of like triggered me a little bit, because there's a difference between influencers.
I feel so. That's why I don't like to call myself that. I don't see myself as one. When people
you're
are you
on the same page.
I'm like, no, I'm not an influencer. I have nothing. Influencer, I feel like something that's making you buy a product. That's not what I want.
And that's the whole thing. Like, for me, yes, you have your typical influencer. Not to poo-poo them, good for them.
No, of course, that's awesome.
But what you are trying to do, and what other people with a strong story like myself, like you, like other people that I've met, is it's not about the influencer, like you want to be, it's like you want to share.
You want to teach them the better way, because you taught yourself the better way and you struggled to get there. So
you've experienced it.
So you're like, what if I give you the footnotes and you get there even quicker? So that for me is where I catch that's where my satisfaction comes in, when I can see these women and I'm like, just trust me. And then honestly, I have to be very thankful because so many do trust me. You know, and they're like, okay, obviously she's somebody that has done it. And I think my discipline is something that people know I'm going to show up. People know I'm going to be there.
How did you get that?
Honestly, that I feel it comes from my grandmother.
Oh, tell me more.
Of being very disciplined. My grandmother we were very poor family, but my grandmother was somebody that was always very strict, you only need 2 pairs of shoes. You only need a black pair, you need a brown pair. On Saturdays, to clean the house, she would turn off our AC, and by 8 o'clock in the morning, everybody had to be up cleaning the entire house, taking out the stuff in the fridge. Like, she was very disciplined, very minimal, very strict. Mm-hmm. And I feel that discipline I got from her, but also I was able to see what discipline does to someone, or what it can I guess what flourishes out of being disciplined. So I feel that I got it from watching her, but then at the same time, after doing it for a while, you start seeing that there is power in discipline, that's where it's at.
Life is about discipline.
That's where it's at, you know? And not only that, like, you're going to lose motivation. People think, oh, it's motivation. No, it's not motivation. It's being disciplined, and people think, oh, no, because you want to work out. And this is something that I try to teach people all the time. They say, oh, no, because you must love to work out. I'm like, out of the 6 days of the week that I work out, I might even want to work out 2. The other ones I force myself. But what I've always, and I do this test all the time. I'm like, okay, I don't want to work out. How long is it going to take me into my workout to want to feel like it? Mm-hmm. And usually I look at the clock and I'm like, sometimes it's going to take me 30 minutes. Sometimes it'll take me 20. Yesterday it took me 10 minutes and 33 seconds. And I tell everyone, okay, it took me 10 minutes and 33 seconds of not wanting to do it to feel good the rest of the day. Like, it's, you know? And that's something that helps me all the time, because the days that I don't want to, I'm like, I know that when I'm done, it's going to feel better. Yeah. So that's where the discipline comes from wanting to feel good.
Now I'm going to ask you this, though. You got that from your grandmother, but I guess you were 230 pounds, you were struggling to have a baby. Do you think it was you trying to conceive your son that really kind of...
I don't think so. I think because I really didn't get into it until, like, I didn't become disciplined into it until I actually saw the results. I really think that what's to this day makes me so disciplined is that I know there is the connection between your body and your mind. And if I want my mind right, and if I have to do it anyway, don't I want to be at my best? So that is really where it comes from knowing that it's healing, that it's...
And you started this with wanting to look better?
Yes, of course. I started with wanting to look better.
And how is it now?
Oh no, now now it's a mental thing. I say half of the time I work out for my sanity.
Yes.
You know, because the physical, yeah, it's very pretty and everything else, but after a while that fades. You know, there's only so much physical that's going to be good for you. You can be all the pretty that you want and have a six-pack, but if mentally you're not stable, it's not going to matter. You know, so I really, and like I say, I don't even get on the scale so much like before. And now that I've helped so many women and I went through it, I know what women go through in stepping in the scale, having it be discouraging to them, the yo-yoing, the women that, and
did you struggle with that before?
I did. I would be so mean to myself. Oh. And one thing I learned, and I tell my girls, is love yourself at every stage because every stage has a purpose.
Yes.
And then I tell them, I'm like, fitness is like seasons. You can't bloom all year. You're not going to be in the best shape of your life all year.
No.
And then because I've been able to build this community and us women, all these women have been in contact, we kind of help each other out. We like I always say, it's a campfire and someone is always going to have to keep it lit. And if you're doing great right now and you're doing awesome and you feel like $1 million, you're holding that fire, but it's going to come to a point, something's going to happen in life and you're not going to be that lit anymore. And then someone else is going to have to come in and keep that fire lit. And that's where the community, because I do feel community is a huge part of it, because when
it's a support group.
It is. And when you're around women that you start realizing that are nurses, that are teachers, that are everyday women, career women, and
single moms, maybe.
Yeah, just all the time single moms. And then you can police officers, firemen, you're like, I can help these women. And like I see my teachers that work out. I'm like, every teacher should work out before they get into a freaking classroom.
I didn't
There would be so much
that. I didn't even think about that. Wow.
I'm like, every teacher should do that. They would be so much better with their kids. And anytime I have a teacher, I have a couple of teachers on and every time they tag me, I always put it, teachers that work out do it better.
It's true.
Anybody that works out does it better, no matter what you do.
It clears your mind. It gives you clarity. And I see it on an energetic level. We have so much gunk.
White noise.
Yes. Intrusive thoughts, rumination, stress, worry,
self-doubt.
Yes. Negative self-talk, which is
that is so important. So important.
So it's all like here, creating arroz con mango. Just too much noise, right? You need that
to release it.
Needs to get it out. So when people are tapping or going like this, or shaking their leg, or biting their nails, or eating the inside of their cheek, that is because energy needs to come out.
That's a sign.
That you need to come back to right now and get off the loop in your head. So when you move your body, you're exerting all of that energy. And that's where people don't understand that connection to it.
100%.
And obviously you experienced it, you know it. But I didn't even think about the whole teachers need to work out before. That is such a beautiful thing, especially for our beautiful children.
Right? That's what I always thought. And I feel, and like they always say, if you help a mom, you help, you help a mom, you help a family, because I've always felt that especially us that our moms are caregivers and we're taking care of other people and we're always caring for somebody else. I remember at the beginning, I felt it was selfish, especially when I had to invest in a bench and I had to buy all these weights. I'm like, but I'm taking away. And then I realized, I'm like, I'm not taking away. I am preparing myself so I can give more of me. I started having more energy. I was like, people ask me all the time, they're like, you have so much energy. What do you do? I'm like, you want energy? The more you move, the more energy you have. That's the key.
Did you notice, was there a time in your life, not your life, but through this whole journey and process that you saw yourself being with your kids different?
Of course. Even my kids noticed. And it got to the point where it became such a discipline to work out every day. And even now, my kids know if we go on vacation, this is my question. So what time do we have to be out the door? And at whatever time they tell me, I know to set myself up 45 minutes before to get my workout in before we do anything. But it got to the point where my kids were like, Mom, you're going to work out, right? Because like they knew that they wanted the mom that was going to deal with them after the workout.
Wow.
No, 100% I felt the difference.
That is amazing.
And my husband too. And my husband sometimes now he does it with me. It took him almost 5 years to start working out with me because.
Well, how did you? I find that so amazing.
It took me a while.
No. What I mean by what I'm saying is you did this all by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, your husband was there. He supported you indirectly, not engaging with it. Your kids as well. Like, that's a lot of determination. That you did by yourself. Obviously, your husband joined in later, and I know that your kids kind of did afterwards, but that's a lot of tenacity.
Oh, thank you. It was very, honestly, through the process, it became very rewarding. And like I said, different doors started opening. So then I started realizing that the more you take care of yourself, the more you start. And I started aligning with other people that were also doing it because the Beachbody community was a big thing.
Well, that would naturally change as you evolve and grow.
Right.
Your life circle evolves as well.
Yeah. So that helped. Having the community was a big deal also. But the way I was feeling was just priceless. I'm like, there's no price tag on this. Like, whatever I have to do to feel this way. And like I said, it started opening different avenues. I started reading a lot. I was somebody that always said, I have no time to read. I have no time to read. And then from being able to read 2 pages a day, I started reading and I started getting addicted to books and what I was learning. And now I'm to the point that I tell myself, I'm like, I have to read a book a month. And sometimes I do 2 a month. But it's something that has filled me in different ways because I'm learning and then I'm teaching also my girls what I'm learning. So I feel like I'm a completely different person than I was 10 years ago. And while it just started with a couch and moving a couch and 2 weights, and moving my body, it was just the evolution of stacking good habits, of doing the same, these things every day. And I just wanted to pass that down because I feel that we all have the power to change and do things differently and feel better.
Absolutely.
But we feel guilt. We feel that it's selfish. We feel that it's not possible. We started making up excuses. I don't have the money for the equipment. I don't have this. I don't have that. But once you get there, it's so eye-opening that that's the first thing that you want to take care of is yourself.
And it's like you said it, we also gain the resistance to even change because change is so comfortable. Even though it's ugly or not ugly, but even though it's probably not ideal, the life that we have, that it's making us depressed or it's making us anxious or it's making us want to snooze for our life, it's still change. Change can be really scary. And I think it's just once you overcome that and you do these little micro steps, that's when you start building the confidence and that's when it becomes addicting. But I think it's just as simple as change one habit. Just change
it's a domino effect. That starts helping all the other ones. Little by little, you will start moving towards that, and change.
And you change yourself. Your whole life changes.
And then you know what? It gets to a point that you become I call myself a change junkie. I'm like, I'm gonna do it first. I'm gonna figure it out, and then you want to do it because you know what beauty comes in change. And then now what happens is I get to tweak. I'm gonna tweak this and I'm gonna tweak that because I do fasting and like things that you start adding on that you can tweak that fit your lifestyle. And then it becomes to a point where, and it's what I tell women, I don't diet. This is my lifestyle. And that's what
work.
Where I see women all the time struggle is like, no, because the moment I start taking care of my diet and the moment I work out 6 days a week, I start losing weight, but I hate doing that. And where I feel I come in or what I want to do is show women. And I always tell them I'm your plug to it. Consider me your plug is make it enjoyable. Like you have to enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy the process, you're going to quit. You're not going to do it. You're not going to stick to it. And then the last component that has really, I think in the last 4 or 5 years helped me has been fasting because I'm a big faster. And then the nutrition, like eating gut health, like gut friendly. I learned a lot about eating gut friendly, how to eat foods that are good for your gut, how to take away things that don't make you feel good.
How did you do that towards the latter end of your?
That's the last 3.5, 4 years. I started fasting in 2020. During the pandemic. I said, I'm going to try this because I was turning 40 and I felt off. I saw that I was gaining weight. I'm like, I'm still working out like before, but I'm like, you're turning 40, the hormones. And then I said, I'm not going to go to a doctor yet because the first thing they're going to do is give me hormones. I said, let me start researching. And I started researching and I found the book Fast Like a Girl. And I found out that fasting is one of the best ways to balance out your hormones.
Yeah.
And I started doing it. And after that, I said, okay, now I have to start eating gut friendly because I realized that there were certain foods.
So like café con leche and tostada. When did you give that up?
Oof, I gave that up a long time ago. It's funny because the other day I did the evolution of my breakfast. It was like café con leche and tostada. Then I had moved to biscotti and a pike. And then now I eat my healthy breakfast. I would say about 8 years ago, I left the tostada con café con leche. But I became more mindful about my food. I learned about microbiome, about how you want to eat the rainbow, how you want to eat varieties of food. So then when I was able to add the component of eating right and the right foods, I was like, people don't realize how amazing our bodies are meant to feel.
Oh.
If people knew that, I'm like, they had no idea. And then the last straw that I've been able to do was I quit alcohol for 150 days. And that for me was a complete eye opener when I quit alcohol. I was like,
but the stigma that comes to that, and we'll get into that, but go ahead and continue.
So after I did that, I was like, wow, now I am unstoppable. I'm like, I am a freaking machine. And another thing that people don't realize either is that people say, oh, no, el cuerpo es malagradecido. Our bodies heal. You just got to give it a chance. Let it happen.
Yep.
And now I'm like a different person in the sense that I'm like, I feel unstoppable. My workouts, the way that, I mean, before, and I'm not saying that I would drink maybe Friday, Saturday, and then I'll have a mimosa or two on Sunday. But when I would wake up on Monday to work out, it wasn't the same feeling.
No.
Now that I'm older, I don't metabolize it the same. So I know that if I would have 2 glasses of wine, I'm not going to sleep good that night. You know, and my
you
heart
start becoming a little bit more
aware.
Is it really worth it?
Exactly.
Because you have so much. It's
So then I look today and I think back, I'm like, okay, I started with weighing 233 pounds in front of a television with 2 pair of dumbbells. But now I look at myself, I'm like, I read, I meditate, I feel different. I was able to not drink alcohol. I mean, you would have told me 10 years ago that I would have spent 150 days without drinking alcohol. I'd have been like, hell no. And now to this day, I have almost no alcohol and I don't need it. And I realize that I don't need it. And you know what? It was great for my kids to be able to see that there was something that you want to stop doing, you can just stop doing it. And at the beginning, it was hard because the stigma. My friends were like, what? You're not going to have alcohol? You're so boring. I'm like, what makes me boring? What makes you think? When I really said I'm going to stop drinking, I spent 2 weekends where I didn't even tell my husband that I had stopped drinking because I wanted him to experience me without alcohol, without saying.
So you did your own personal research.
Of course. I went ahead and I spent 2 weekends without drinking. And by the 3rd weekend, we went to the bar and I asked for a glass of club soda. He's like, you're not having a drink? I'm like, I know you haven't noticed, but I haven't drank in 3 weeks. He's like, oh, for real? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you haven't changed. I'm like, that's what I wanted. I'm like, and at the beginning, he's like, but babe, like we people watch, we go to bars, like I go, we can still do that. I'll have my club soda. You can have your thing. It'll be fine. And honestly, now he tells me all the time. He's like, you're the same person. You're not different. My son, we were at a 4th of July party and my son was there and he's like, he saw my friends were making fun of me. They're like, come on, stop leaving that diet thing. Who cares? It's not like if you're gaining 10 pounds. Like, it has nothing to do with weight. It's like I was feeling so grounded, so mentally clear, which people don't get the clarity that starts building up. And my son comes up to me and he already drives. He's like, Mom, do you want me to take you home? I'm like, why? He's like, are they making you feel uncomfortable? And I'm like, no, papi, I'm fine. I'm good. And then the next day he comes up to me and he's like, put it in there. And I'm like, what? He goes, you didn't give in. So that was like, for me, a big thing for him to see that even I was getting picked on, even they were making fun of me. Like, I was like,
that was very touching to me.
I'm going to stick to, it was very touching to me. Like, to me, that's what gave me, I was only going to be without alcohol for 30 days. And to me, that's what made me say, no, you can do this even further and keep going. And now I think my kids I know for a fact, he sees me differently.
I mean, I would too. Not only that, because you're the parent and you're showing by the example that you could actually do something and stick to your guns, especially in the age that he's in.
And that you can change the way you feel and better yourself, even though it's not the popular thing. And he asked me, he's like, Mama, why did you stop? And I told him I wasn't feeling the same. And I said, honestly, the reason why, and I know it for a fact, it's because I've already experienced my life with alcohol. I wanted to see where it would take me not having it and what mental capacity I could have and my clarity and all that stuff. And I think it did good for them to see that, for both of my kids to see that.
No, I did the same thing. I mean, I don't say that I have eliminated 100%, but I'll maybe have one. Actually, I take it back. I won't even finish a drink. I'll just have 2 or 3 sips, and that's kind of it. Because I love like the spice. I love spicy margaritas. That's kind of my thing. And I'll have like 2 or 3 little sips. I won't even finish a drink. We have in our house a whole wall of wine, especially during the holidays. That we get wine, we get liquor. I mean, my husband gets tons of stuff. It's still there.
Yeah,
it has not been opened, and we're like, we don't even get to enjoy that because it's not. If it sounds in a negative way, but it's more of we have so many things to accomplish. We want to enjoy our days.
Well,
we want to feel energy. We don't want to be thrown in a couch because we're hungover, because again, we're not 25, we're not 30. We want to have the clarity, the energy, and
the presence, the way that I saw it, and look, I got it tattooed on me, feel the day, in the sense that I wanted to feel my days. I got to a point that I'm like, I want to feel my days. Sometimes with alcohol, especially if you're having a mimosa or two, you don't notice, but it gets a little blurry.
Yes.
And the days go by quick. And a concert drinking and a concert sober, totally different. I'm like, oh my God, he's still singing. Because it goes by so quick. And I'm like, I want to now feel my days. I already partied. I already know what it felt like to go to the clubs, to be hungover, to do that. I want to be present. I want to.
It's a different phase in your life.
Yes, and if you're not okay with it, or if you think it's a boring stage, sucks to be you. And you know, I mean,
it's just
it's a person, and it has to be. And I tell everybody when they tell me, I can't believe you. And that's another thing. You don't know how many women I know suffer from their alcohol is obviously addicting. It's a depressant.
Yeah.
And they're just addicted to it, and they don't know how to detach themselves from it. And there's always an excuse. And I told them, it has to be something. There's always going to be an excuse. A wedding, a vacation, this, that. It has to be a personal reason. Like, you personally have to say, I don't want to do this. I want to see what my life is like with it, without it. And I'll be honest, I was even scared to drink again, because I said, am I going to binge? Am I going to want to be attached to it? And when I drank for the first time, it was a glass of wine. I said, I don't even care for it anymore. Like, I left it. I'm like, it doesn't even taste good anymore.
No, I completely.
I'm like,
I think it was my husband and I. We ordered each a glass of wine, and then at dinner we looked at it. We looked at each other. We're like, why did we even order it? It was like not even a quarter of the glass was gone, and wasted money.
Yeah,
you know, because when you go out, it's less than $20 a glass of wine, if that's the cheap one. But you start losing that connection.
And I think that when I had to give myself that space to lose the attachment that you have with alcohol, and the thinking that you need it because of situations. A lot of the times, and I realized it was a habit of having something in your hand when
it's
you're
a social thing. If you think about our society, it's happy hour. Happy hour, let's go drink. You know, everything is
it's a $1 billion industry, and they make sure that and people associate alcohol with having a good time.
Yes.
It's like, but why? Like, all of a sudden, everybody's on the table and the alcohol gets there and everybody has their smiley faces on.
Yes, it's already a program. It's a correlation. It's a program that our society overall has. Everything is liquor, everything, you know. And it's funny because when I look at some of my kids are in their 20s, even friends that I still have, and I'm just like, you guys have no idea like what you're giving up by choosing to drink and go out and stay out till 3 a.m. and all of this stuff. Like, you're giving so much more of yourself and so much of your life to do it. And not to poo-poo, it's just more of like, I'm seeing it in the other side.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just like you, I've partied, I've done the whole thing. I would drink, stay out, and go to work the next day.
Yeah, of course. No, I would change in my car. Yeah, it's gonna work.
But now looking back, I'm like, coño, if I would have known this when I was much younger, I could only imagine like how different my life would have been. You know, not to just like focus on the negative, but those negative or regretful moments are very teachable, very enlightening moments. And those moments are the ones that you're like, I know I'm in the right path.
Yeah.
I know I'm in the way that I should go.
Yeah.
So how did you switch your nutrition? How did you start with that?
I started following a program called 4-Week Gut Protocol, which also belongs to Body. And it basically, it's a 4-week program where you start eliminating certain foods and you only eat things that are gut friendly. You eliminate 5 things, which is dairy, processed food, alcohol, gluten.
Are you gluten-free?
I'm gluten-free. And corn. And you eliminate those things. You eat mainly, you eat protein, obviously, but you eat stuff that is we call eating the rainbow. You want to make sure you have a lot of variety in your plate. You eat fermented foods. And then I combined that with the fasting. And then that's basically how I made it stick. I saw how good I felt. And that was the moment when I was able to bring in the component of nutrition to the fitness. Because I'll be honest, at the beginning, I was still doing the fitness, but I wasn't so in tune with the nutrition.
Yeah.
So while I was still mentally feeling good and physically I was feeling good, I knew that there was a missing link. And then once I was able to incorporate the nutrition, that's when I said, wow, we're freaking well-oiled machines. Like God he knows exactly what he's building. And that's when I realized, like, well, people don't realize how good we're meant to feel. And if people just took the time and changed the little things in their life that could take them there, it would no longer be an obligation. Like I do it blindly because I know how good I feel or how good I'm gonna feel once.
So going back to like the nutrition part. So I mean, I had a personal experience with that myself. Like I did a whole, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Whole 30, which is like 30 days. So I did it. That's actually how I got pregnant with my last one.
Oh yeah.
My whole body
you became so fertile.
No, because you're eating so natural. You're eating,
your skin changes.
Everything. Everything was whole foods. Nothing, even for the psychological aspect, nothing that it was even like a plantain chip, even though it had nothing, but the fact that it's crunchy and the fact that your brain correlates that with like chips or anything like that. So that put my body in such a fertile state that my hormones were at peak, and we still don't know. I mean, we know how we got pregnant, but we still are like, how did this even happen?
Yeah.
So the magic of nutrition is what it does to the body. We heal ourselves, we cleanse ourselves. Our body has the capacity to
we regenerate all the time,
to live this life to the best way possible. That's what we were meant to do.
100%.
But let's talk about your Project X. Tell me about that. How did this come to be? And tell me what you're doing, when it's coming out, or...
Okay, well, I've always been a people person. My mom, and after all these personal development books that I've read, I learned that one of the best ways to feel fulfilled and live a fulfilling life is to find what your gift is and to monetize off of it, right? So my mom would always tell me when I was younger, para de inventar, stop inventing. I always was about bringing people together. I always loved being around people. I built a team when it came to body. And then I always had in the back of my head that I wanted to create an event. Like I want to be able to create an event in the fact, well, I always did at home when I would bring my girls over, but I said, I want to create something on a bigger scale where it would be a day in the life of, where I would be able to show someone that has never done any of these things that I do every day, how they would feel. How do they feel that day if they were to do all the things that I do? And to see that it's not that hard. And not only that, be able to give them the tools once they leave there so that they can implement that in their everyday life. So I was thinking, I said, okay, so how do I do this? I had no idea. And I said, okay, we're going to go back to the same thing. I don't want to overcomplicate it because if I overcomplicate it, it's never going to happen. And I started looking into Jigster to look to see if I found a venue, and I found a venue, and I said, you know what? And honestly, within 2 weeks, we put up this production, which we called Project X. The meaning of Project X, which people ask me all the time, like, what does it mean? X is a variable, you're X. And it's Project X because you're working on yourself.
Oh, I love it.
And then we're giving you the tools so that you can work on you, and you are X. So that is why it's called Project X.
That's so awesome.
You're the project.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I'm the project. And
You're exactly. And then we're giving you the tools. And that's what we always say. The best project you'll ever work on is you.
Yourself, absolutely.
Which, by the way, I thank you very much for going to our event. Everybody loved you.
Oh, thank you.
The fact that you were able to give them tools to work on once they're no longer there, that's what I wanted. That's what I want from the event. You know, so people to see the avenues, see what they have, the options they have.
Well, that's exactly like what I'm doing here. Yeah. It's the same thing in a different arena.
Exactly. In a different arena.
Exactly.
And in a different perspective and in a different way. But it's all connected. And it was so beautiful when I saw what you're doing and everything and I said, we're doing so much of the same thing in a different arena, but the same thing.
Yeah.
And then once you start doing this and you connect yourself with people like Flawless, and you start realizing there's so many people that are doing the same thing you are in different ways. And then you can obviously network and help each other out.
Absolutely.
You don't feel as lonely. you're like, okay, I'm not crazy.
That's the one thing, yes. You know, because this could be being a business owner and doing like these endeavors is a very
difficult.
lonely
It is
feeling.
And not only that, like you're scared and you don't know, okay, I'm gonna invest. And then obviously we had to, I said when we did Project X, I said, okay, I'm gonna have to invest in the place. What if I don't sell enough tickets? My husband's like, it doesn't matter, honey. At least you're gonna learn. And I said, at the beginning, I'm like, I want this big event. But I said, okay, let me learn. Let me start small scale. I'll do it as not small, but as big as I can. And then I'll learn from it. And then we'll continue to evolve and get bigger and bigger. And then thankfully, we're going to be doing another Project X. It's going to be every 3 months. We're going to do January 12th is our next event.
Wow.
I'm very excited. We are picking a different event. We're hoping we're going to be able to have 100 people at least.
Wow.
We're going to do a co-ed this time.
Oh my God, how awesome.
Because since I think it's something, I do work out with my husband. It's something that when I first came up with it, they were like, but why don't you do a co-ed? And then I think I was more scared than anything because I said, well, what if we don't sell out, or what if we don't? But we're going to do a co-ed this time, which I'm excited about. And
that's actually really
hopefully that's what we want to do, is just bring community together. Show them the options that they have. Show them what it's like in a day of you doing these things, and hopefully leave there with the inspiration and with the want to having to implement those things in your everyday life.
That's beautiful. I love how this just all started 10 years ago with you wanting to have a baby, then finding out about Beachbody and hemorrhage, like the whole journey is now your life.
Yeah.
It's now your life, and now you're giving back to the community. That's the most beautiful part. It's the reciprocity there. You know,
it feels really good. And it feels good when I'm able to see women that were stuck before and they don't no longer feel like that. And this is my story, and mine evolved from, like you said, 10 years ago to now. But for someone else, it can evolve in a different way.
Oh, yeah.
And things that they want. What I'm saying is that it opens doors. It opens so many doors, and things that you didn't think were possible start happening. And it's all because you start giving yourself a chance to feel better, to be in a better mental state, to be able to have a mind of growth, a growth mindset.
You took care of yourself.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that when you take care of yourself, you're giving yourself fuel to keep going. When your car is running out of gas or battery, because now we have electric cars, what do? You go to the gas station and give it gas. You go and you charge up your car. That's the same thing. This is a vessel that we need to take care of.
Yeah.
And it's not being selfish. You don't have to earn it. It is, you just need to know that this is what your body needs. And once you feel like you're going to be able to deal with your kids, deal with your husband, deal with work, be more clear.
100%. Perform better in anything you do.
Exactly. Give the body the chance that it was truly made for.
100%.
So where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. Okay, I'm at Aimee Albarello Driven.
Okay.
Or you can just pick up the phone and call me if you like. No, but I'm mostly on IG.
Okay.
I run different groups, and basically I call them kind of support groups. I run them through WhatsApp.
Okay.
I have a Fasting for Dummies group. All these groups are free. It's basically what I do is I grab the community, and then from there I'll funnel them. So for example, I have a free fasting community. Anybody that wants to fast, I share it on my IG all the time. I say, if you need support, just let me know. We add you to the group. And basically what we do is we go through an app called Zero. We cheer each other on. So for example, for Thanksgiving, we had a post-turkey fast where everybody fasted for, some people did 18 hours, some people did 24, some people did 48. And what we would do is cheer each other on to each pass the benchmark. Whenever I run my fitness groups, I also do them through WhatsApp. And then I also have a virtual gym, which we call the No Snooze Crew.
Oh.
And this is...
Say that before we close. I want you to say that story really quick, because I think that's such an important and beautiful story.
Well, about 3 years into my home fitness, I got to the point that not only was I trying to recruit women to join me, I realized that I myself was losing motivation. And one of the biggest excuses I got from everyone was, well, I need to have somewhere to go. You know, I can't just work out from home. It's not motivating. And I came up with the fact, it got to a point where I was snoozing again. And I realized it. And I did a poll on IG. And I said, the snooze button is getting the best of me. Is anyone else? And at that time, I had 16 girls that replied, that they were getting, the snooze button was getting the best of them. And that day I said, okay, well, how about, and this was 6 years ago before Zoom became so popular. I said, okay, well, how about we all meet on Zoom tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and we get our workout in together. And back then, and sometimes people still can't wrap their heads around it. Basically what it is, it's a Zoom link where you get your laptop or your iPad, wherever you work out, and you open one window and you have the Zoom link, the meeting going on. And then on the other hand, you have your trainer, which would be the streaming of the fitness. And basically you're working out
with a group.
And you get to see their little squares, and you see what, and some people are in their garage and some people are on vacation. And then you have the people that are doing it in the bathroom because they're in Disney. Like, you have different, because they're in Disney, and you know, the family's on vacation still and they're sleepy, so she doesn't want to wake anybody up. And you catch the weirdest scenarios.
That's hilarious.
But whenever we're on vacation, we love doing it. I'm like, okay, so where are we working out here, and where am I going to log on from? You know, because it's a thing.
Yeah. I mean, when we go on vacation, my husband's like, do they have a gym?
Yeah. So then it became popular, and we started getting people to join. And the pandemic was the one thing that really blew it up, because the pandemic was when everybody stopped going to the gym. And it got to the point we had almost 100 people on the No Snooze crew at one time, which was, I mean, for me, I was like, wow. And what to this day blows my mind is that I didn't realize what I was creating. And then
again, it's just,
And then it became a place. It's still a place where we will make 6 years tomorrow. It's still a place where everybody goes to work out. But it's become a lot more than that. For me, when my dad passed away, I didn't want to get up in the mornings. And the reason I ended up showing up was because the girls would text me, where are you? You're not on. Are you okay? Log on. And it gave me somewhere to go to. So I remember how I was about to get back into the snoozing, and I'm like, no, I have those faces waiting for me to log on. So I was waking up for them, for myself, but it had nothing to do with the workout. It was just because I knew I needed it, but I wasn't going to be alone. And then I realized, and I've seen, I mean, this is 6 years, the community has already grown together, how it's helped different women at different times through divorce. When the women have been through divorce, they don't want to get up, they don't want to do it. And we're like, where are you? You're not here, you're not showing up. Somebody passes away. And it's like, it's a community that we've all built. And while you're showing up for yourself, you're really showing up for someone else. And people tell me all the time, but I don't want to log on because people are going to look at me. I'm like, listen. If there's someone logged on there, it's because they need you. They're not looking at you. They don't care what you're doing. They don't care about your moves. They need you. They need your support. So it's grown to the point where we have people in different time zones. It's a beautiful thing. We're going to have a WOD tomorrow. Everybody at 6 a.m. We have girls in Vegas who are like, we can't log on at 3, but I'll try to be there, you know? So what I do is I have different people in different time zones host so that they can create the group, you know? So it's a nice thing where people can actually go to, I call it my own virtual gym. I'm like, I have the keys to a virtual gym. It's open 23 hours. You can log in at any time and you'll usually find somebody there.
That's awesome.
And we stay connected through a chat, which means that, for example, if it'll be 10 o'clock in the morning and it's not the usual time where everybody logs on. You're like, I need to get my workout in. I haven't gotten in. Anybody else need to? And then 2 people will connect and they'll do workout together.
That's awesome. I love the support aspect. I've never heard or seen anything like that before.
I think the community is where it's at. And going back to what I was telling you of monetizing what you're good at, I'm really good at bringing people together. Like, that is my thing. I love doing that. I love community. I love the human connection. I think there's something so beautiful.
Well, we're
about the human connection. Like, you can change a person's day by saying good morning. You can, so many things that you can do. And that human connection, especially now, I feel is so lost that I'm like, okay, so even in this world that we live of technology, you can still use it to your advantage to create the human connection. Because that's what I feel I've done with the No Snooze crew, you know, where I've been able to connect people and they all have one mission at hand, and it's there for something positive. And while it's, technology, it's still there to help you out so that you can show up for yourself and for someone else.
I congratulate you. I think what you're doing is so amazing.
Thank you.
I mean,
Honestly, it's like I don't even feel like it's a job.
But that's the thing, because it's so passionate. It's something that for you, you've gone through, you know the feelings, you know the obstacles, you know everything about it. And you just want to share that so bad that it becomes effortless. It becomes effortless, and it becomes a passion.
And then I feel it's honestly my mission. Like, I'm like, that is really what I want to do. I want to be able to help people feel their best, to know how good we're meant to feel, and to stick to it and continue doing the things that will keep you there at no matter what cost or excuse you want to make for yourself.
No, I congratulate you.
And then now with my husband doing it with me, and I'm sure that moms see themselves at different stages of their life. Before, it was to be a better mom. My kids are older now. So now the way that I see it is, I don't want to be a burden on my kids. Me and my husband don't want to be a burden
as we
get older. And we don't want to be a burden to each other, because how hard would, or how terrible it would be that I take care of myself, my husband doesn't, and we get to the point where we retire and he's at one stage of he's in one health, condition, and I'm in another. He's going to be limiting what we can do together. We don't want to do that.
Absolutely. No, I say that, my husband and I talk about this all the time. We have a lot of kids, and we want to enjoy our grandkids. We don't want to be just sitting and watching. We want to engage with our grandkids. We want to be retired and still be able to hike, still be able to do all of the things that life has to offer.
When people say, I want to live life to the fullest, I'm like, that means physically. You want to physically live life to the fullest. You want to be able to feel that. And I think that's where people sometimes, they don't.
Yeah, because you retire in your 60s. In your 60s, if you're not taking care of physically your body, you're going to be
a burden to your kids and to your spouse.
Stuck in a house watching TV and maybe walk the dog. Because you either have no energy, your muscle tone is gone, your balance is gone, potentially overweight, diabetes, cholesterol, and tons of medications. What life is that? That's not a life living. That you're not living a real life there. You want to be able to pick up your grandkids, throw them up and catch them. You want to be able to go on an anniversary trip of hiking with your
seeing
husband.
The sunrise at 2,000 feet of an elevation. 100%.
Ride your bike.
Yeah.
Simple things that we take for granted. But if we don't take care of our bodies, and then when that happens, what happens to your mental health?
Of course. So I feel like every stage of your life, being healthy, exercising, moving your body, having good habits, it's going to help you in every stage of your life, no matter where you are. And it's just going to evolve as you evolve as a person, but it's going to serve you in every stage.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Yes, it was.
Thank you.